I don't know if there's a jugular segue in there somewhere, Jake.
Yeah.
However, let's dive into the jugular that is the relationship between China and Australia.
See, I
Hey,
thought
our weekly.
well, I thought you were going to go with the lifeblood, energy,
Ah,
gas.
they're good. I'll write those down for next week. Lifeblood. No, I'm trying to stick to the order here, Jake, of the script. All right, of the run sheet, as it's called in the biz. Okay, fears for Australians in China. Now we're basically doing a weekly segment at this stage on Australia and China relationships, right? Okay, so last week we had the two journalists fleeing from China. They were told, look, you need to come and see the government for some unknown specified reason. And they said, yes, no worries, just going to duck to the bathroom, slid out of the bathroom window, put on their masks that they carry with them. They ran to their limousines and they got taken in their limousines. Yeah. While being followed by people on motorcycles to the consulate. They ran into the consulate and then they got snuck onto a plane.
There was a car explosion at some point.
Some car flipped over. They got snuck onto a plane, right? The Australian government said, look, don't worry about the 24,000 Australians stuck overseas at the moment. We'll worry about them another time. Let's get these journalists. They're our top priority. Let's get them over here, right? Snuck them into the country and then they magically appeared here in Australia. To escape whatever it was that they were escaping. Chung Lei is being detained at the moment, an Australian journalist over in China.
Also one of the feature fighters in the Street Fighter franchise.
Yes, absolutely.
From Namco.
Yep, she's the one who spun upside down and did the kicks that way. Fantastic move.
Spinning bird kick.
Yeah, spinning bird kick. Eastern spine bill, I think, is the bird that she mastered that off. Now okay, but this week, some explosions, Jake.
Yes, explosive explosions.
Some revelations.
Yes. That
a former senior defense official and diplomat is calling for urgent action to protect Australians in China. After who was this guy? I'm trying to find him. Who was this guy who was named?
Yeah, so there's been some search warrants that have identified Chinese consul to Sydney, Sun Yanto, in connection with investigation by the AFP, the Australian Federal Police, and spy agency ASIO into some alleged plot to infiltrate the New South Wales Labor Party. There's been some implications. You might recall some months ago we were discussing the politician's surname Mosselmain.
Yes.
I can't recall his first name off the top.
Shaukat.
Shaukat Mosselmain.
Yes.
And it's been implicated in this ring of, or in this sort of sphere of stuff.
Yes.
Is the best way that I can, phrase it.
Okay, it says emails, messages, and phone calls lists involving Chinese diplomats were accessed as part of the investigation into political interference. The former diplomat, Alan Bem, says Australia's diplomacy with China is in the pits and requires urgent action. So this is based around the fact that there's been an Australian consul named in this pressure to infiltrate the New South Wales Labor government, right? So China is trying to
Labor Party, not the Labor government.
Sorry, the Labor Party. Yes, the Labor Party trying to infiltrate the Labor Party, and that this now has, if I remember correctly, there was a speech given by a Chinese representative, and he basically stood there for like a minute or 2 minutes or something like that, and they referred to it as stone cold silence. So this question was put to him about this consul who has been named in this investigation. He stood there for 2 minutes and then basically just launched into this thing about Australia is treading a fine line, that there are people in Australia who are just, basically hell-bent on making sure that the relationship between Australia and China stays strained. But, I mean, we have to trust that the AFP are doing their job and then they're not just taking this lightly, and it's not just someone who's got a chip on their shoulder.
That's it. And that is the most frustrating thing. Look, I totally get the fact if you've got a foreign national in another country, and they are detained on an investigation, and allegations have been made, and as part of those allegations, they are being, appropriately investigated. All of the right parties, including the consulate for that country, are being informed. Information is flowing appropriately.
Yeah.
I get that. That China and Chinese officials are worried about their citizen that is in another country that is being investigated, that is potentially being detained. I totally get that. We have the same, issues and worry and consternation about, our citizens that are currently being detained in China. So I totally get that. This is a mutual consternation that both countries have over people being detained. I suppose the issue is that China should not be interfering in this investigation.
No.
And if there have been allegations made, which there have, and if there is an investigation that is being undertaken, which it is, then China should not be necessarily putting their fingers in the pie that is this investigation. They should not be muddying the waters. And where that analogy between China having an issue with China having consternation over somebody being investigated in Australia, and Australia having consternations over somebody being investigated in China, where that breaks down is that there have been no allegations made against Chun Lei. There have been, there is this so-called investigations, and there has been, she has been detained, but she's been detained without charge. She's been detained without allegations, apart from nebulous investigations of, national security. So it is a really fraught time where we have, these political firecrackers essentially just popping up left, right, and center in both countries. Things are getting worse and worse. People are being detained. People are being, given threats of detainment, and threats of imprisonment. And all we see is this escalation, and it is just so unfortunate that there are individuals caught up in between these things. Now, I'm not suggesting that the allegations made on the individual in Australia are not real. Yeah. I would suggest that they are probably quite real because, Shaukat Moslemain, he lost his job. He lost his position.
It's Sun Yanteo is the name of the console being named. Yep.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay. I just want to tie it up a little bit, tie the conversations together a little bit. So just to be clear, it says here that the correspondence between Chinese diplomats and policy advisor to New South Wales Labor MP Shaukat Moslemain have been seized by Australian police, right? So there's a whole bunch of communications happening between these two that have been seized. Now, this was actually seized months before the alleged, the detainment of these people in China. So the Australians being detained in China are all a result of the fact that these conversations had been seized. So it's not that it's even though we're getting the information in this particular timeline, the timeline is a little bit different. The timeline happened that we knew about this Sun Yanteo and Shaukat Moslemain connection prior to Chun Lei being detained. So it's certainly messy.
There's not necessarily a tit for tat here.
No.
But there is certainly nonetheless, escalation of tensions.
Yes. The ABC can also reveal that Mr. Zhang, who's Mr. Zhang?
He is somebody from China's Sydney consulate.
Okay. All right. So there's two consulate people.
So the Mr. Wang is not. So it's Wang Wenbin.
Yes.
And he's from the Chinese Foreign Ministry.
Right. Okay.
He's a spokesman for the Chinese Foreign Ministry.
Fair enough. All right.
And he's saying that there is this escalation, these revelations, but there is this escalation, and we both Australia. Well, he was implicating that Australia has a Cold War mindset or mentality.
Yes.
Of peddling lies
and nothing but vicious slanders.
Yes, indeed. Malicious smear and slander.
It's like an episode of Home and Away. Okay.
That's malicious, love.
Yeah, that's just slander. Okay. Of course it is. Of course it is just slander. Nothing going on at all.
No.
Nothing going on at all. Nope. Yep. Absolutely not.